hello. Um, I have the same thing. Uh, Steps. Remember last time I talked about the steps? Uh, the steps is not for you just copy it, okay? It's for you to understand the process. Just remember that. So what the process, if I looking at this with all the steps, right? What do? First, you blacking out the dark side. Blacking out. What means blacking out? Blacking out means you don't do the details. You do the overall. You do the overall. Excuse me. You see. Okay. So you blacking the overall shapes. No details, like the overall black and dark shapes. See, right? You're blacking like that, right? There's no details yet. You paint details on top of that. Here, see, that's what I do. You're blacking out the dark part, and also where the dark shape has a shape, right? So you don't want to blacking out like this. Yeah, right? And lost the shape, or the shape like this, right? You're blacking out with the basic shape, but the shape has to overall have to look like this, okay? Just not very detailed, but the overall shape looks like that. You blacking out the dark part. What you do is you paint the lighter part. You can see I paint the lighter part. Then you can smooth out the edges a little bit. See? Then after that, after you have the dark and the light part kind of there, then you can add some details, which I made the eye and nose. And then what do you see? What's the difference both of this? Then I'm going onto the dark part again to add details. See, that's a kind of like a core shadow there, right? Before just a dark side. Now I have a core shadow here. Now you can see a reflection there, right? So I add details on the balloon, highlight dark side, lighter side, because the balloon is kind of like this, right? So they had dark, light, add a little bit details there. So now I'm adding details, right? And this part too, you can compare this to this. You can see I add more details on here, right? Wait, which part I added? Maybe, okay. Yeah, see, this part is different than that, right? I put that little bit shadow here, and the feet, see the feet, just add details now, right? Get dark and light. The feet is bumpy, so those two you can definitely see the more details. See, I add more details on the darker side, casting shadow, and this in the end, because this toy has some like bumps here, so I add some dark part, so it looks like there's a like a bumpy. It's a little bit bumpy. I think they want to make it looks like a fur, so they have like bump part on the. I didn't do like all over. If you do all over, it will look like very scary, you know. I just picked up some part like between the dark and light, like those parts, like kind of like when the lights meet the dark, that part you see more of the bump and the shadow, because the value is so close, you cannot see the bump that well. And a lighter part, because everything's so light, you don't see the bump that well. So yeah, okay, very important thing. The You don't just copy it. You have to be able to think critically, why I'm doing this, and this just keep telling you the same thing, from the whole shape to the detail, whole shape to the detail. Okay, not to start with a ear, or start with a balloon, or start with an eye, blacking out the dark and light, then in work in there, so the dark always dark, the light always light. All right, just a little bit difference between the dark and light, but all right, have fun.